What happens when Trump goes on live television to mock President Obama's academic record, and Obama responds by pulling out Donald Trump's actual SAT score from 1965? In just 15 seconds, the stable genius myth didn't just crack, it detonated. One number, one document, one moment that made the entire crowd erupt as Trump's best-kept secret finally went public. In the history of American political theater, there are moments of debate, and then there are moments of total, unrecoverable destruction. Imagine a man who has spent a lifetime boasting about his intellect and mocking the credentials of others, suddenly confronted with the one document he spent decades trying to conceal. This is the story of that jaw-dropping collision. Trump mocked Obama's grades. 15 seconds later, Obama read Trump's own transcript, and the audience roared. During a live televised event that captivated the nation, Donald Trump attempted to belittle his predecessor with a familiar, baseless attack. He never expected Barack Obama to reach into his jacket, retrieve a certified document from 1965, and read aloud a single number that would dismantle the stable genius myth forever. Michael Cohen has testified that he threatened Trump's schools with legal action if they ever released the grades. We also know Trump tried to manufacture a scandal out of President Obama's academic records. So how unusual is it for a president not to release their scholastic data? Well, it's not typically required. Some people choose to release it. I've reported on candidates who shared their transcripts. The stage was a prime-time presidential forum on education and excellence, broadcast live from a packed auditorium in Philadelphia. The tension in the room was palpable as President Donald Trump and former President Barack Obama faced one another. For the first half hour, Trump was in his element, aggressive, loud, and playing to the crowd. He grew visibly annoyed when the moderator asked about the importance of academic rigor in leadership. Seizing what he saw as an opening, Trump leaned into his microphone, a sneer on his face. "You know," he began, pointing toward Obama, "we hear a lot about academic rigor from this guy, but I've always said I'd love to see his transcripts. I heard they were terrible. I heard he was a terrible student who got into Harvard because of, well, we know why. I was a top student. I went to the Wharton School. I'm a very stable genius. But him? I bet he couldn't even pass a basic test," the audience murmured, uneasy with the deeply personal attack. Trump sat back, arms crossed, looking triumphant. He had just challenged Obama's intelligence on national television, but Barack Obama didn't flinch. He didn't raise his voice. Instead, he looked at Trump with a calm, almost pitying expression. "Donald," Obama said, his voice steady, "you have spent years questioning my credentials. You've questioned my birth certificate, my grades, my very right to be here." He paused, reaching into the inner pocket of his suit jacket. The room fell completely silent. "And you have always claimed to be the smartest person in the room. So, in the spirit of transparency, I think it's time we cleared the air." Obama then pulled out a single folded sheet of aged, yellowed paper. "This," he announced, "is a certified copy of your College Board SAT score report from 1965. It was unsealed this morning." Trump's face turned from smug to ashen in an instant. He lunged toward the microphone, shouting, "That's fake! You can't read that!" But it was too late. Obama put on his reading glasses and looked down at the document. "You claim to be a genius," Obama said, his voice echoing through the hall. "But let's look at the math." He read from the page. "Verbal reasoning, 48th percentile. Mathematical aptitude, 34th percentile." He looked up, locking eyes with a stunned Trump. Total score, 970 out of 1600. The crowd erupted. It wasn't just applause. It was a roar of shock and disbelief. A score of 970 was below the national average. The self-proclaimed genius had scored lower than the average high school student. Obama waited for the noise to fade, then delivered the final blow. "You didn't get into Wharton because you were a genius, Donald. You got in because your father, Fred Trump, made a massive donation to the school 2 weeks before your acceptance letter arrived." The devastation was total. Trump sat frozen, his mouth opening and closing without a sound. The myth he had built his entire life around, the myth of his superior intellect, had been dismantled in 15 seconds by a single sheet of paper. He had mocked a Harvard law graduate, only to be exposed as a below-average student who bought his way in. As the crowd continued to roar, the cameras captured the look of pure, hollow panic in Trump's eyes. The game was over. The genius was a fraud, and the truth, hidden for 50 years, was finally out.